Welcome back. All right, so news update for all you fine people on the internet for your March the 8th. I will not forget that it's March. To the point we're into April, I'll probably still call it March. Me and calendars, it's a whole thing. So at any rate, if you're a Sens fan, today, tough news. Cam Talbot's going to be out 3 weeks. It's a lower body injury for him. So looking ahead at their schedule during those 3 weeks, it's an 11-game period between now and 3 weeks from today. The rest of this road trip isn't going to be easy. They have Seattle, then Vancouver, Calgary, and Edmonton. Looking through each team, Seattle, of course, playing pretty well right now. Vancouver's been playing better lately. They're not going to be rolling over easy. Calgary seem to be getting things back together a little bit. And for Edmonton, pretty good high-scoring team. Then they go home. They play Colorado and Toronto. Don't have to go into how difficult it could be to beat Colorado or Toronto in both. Then they go to Pittsburgh and Boston. Same thing there. They're at home against Tampa. They go to New Jersey, and they're at home against Florida. This is a very challenging schedule for the Ottawa Senators. This is why they're still seen as being remote in terms of their chances to make the playoffs. It's a tough schedule for them coming up. I think the average winning percent or points percentage by a team they play is .580. I think that's the average. So that's pretty high average points percentage. And it doesn't lend itself towards what are likely going to be good results for the Ottawa Senators. But we'll see, right? Sogard's impressed before. Mendeleze impressed as well. The trick then becomes as teams get to know those goaltenders better, they may find a flaw, a weakness there. So for the Sens, these next 10 games are huge, and we'll see how it goes. Hedman returns to practice for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's seen as only being day-to-day, so he may very well be back for their next game. That'd be great. Tampa Bay had arguably their best game in weeks last night, though that was against Philadelphia. So we'll see how their next game goes and if they can, have that momentum carry over. For Tampa Bay coming off of that rough losing streak, it is important to turn things around, because very often if you look at the teams that succeed in the playoffs, they're teams that were playing well headed into the playoffs as well. Washington news. So defenseman, just injuries all over. Carlson at practice in a non-contact jersey. He is not seen as being close. So non-contact jersey for him. Nick Jensen also at practice in a no-contact jersey. This was Carlson's first time back with the team in quite some time. Feovari, though, full contact jersey for him, so he's closer than the other two. May very well return the next game. When you see a guy in a full contact jersey, they're normally right on the verge of coming back because they don't have to worry about getting body checked during practice. That usually points towards a return sooner rather than later. So for the Caps, who are still in this, the Capitals are absolutely still in the hunt for a playoff spot. Getting a healthy defense will be very, very important and very key for them if they're able to overcome what look like daunting odds of them making the playoffs right now. And they are daunting. They're 5 points out of the playoffs right now. They are amongst that gaggle of teams that are below the line and desperately trying to catch Pittsburgh and the Islanders. But with each night that Pittsburgh and the Islanders win and those teams behind them have a little bit of a struggle, the odds get a little bit longer for the teams that are below the line. Vancouver signs Guillaume Brisebois to a 2-year extension, league minimum, $775,000 each. That is the league minimum starting next year. It's a 2-way contract in the first year. It's a 1-way contract in the second year, so he will make less money in the AHL than the NHL. But they're really talking about how he's taken that next step and how he's gotten better. Brisebois has always been a fascinating prospect in that he's been considered good, not necessarily fantastic. He's played well in Abbotsford, but it's a matter of where's his spot on the team. So maybe this indicates that next season we could see Brisebois maybe getting third pairing, maybe ending up the number 7 defenseman. Again, for me, just following this team, I want to see Wolanin get something. First off, he was great in the preseason, then he's great in Abbotsford, and since the call up to Vancouver, he's been very good. So I'm hoping that the Canucks do the right thing here, because again, these are cheap contracts, and you're going to need that for a team that's over the cap for next year. You're going to need those cheap contracts. I'm sure they'll shed some money this summer, but how much and how expensive that's going to be remains to be seen. Because generally speaking, teams that take on money or take on a contract that's tough to trade, they want a lot as well added on to that. An entry-level contract that got signed that I'm not that surprised that I had missed. from a couple days back is Corson Kuhlman's first-round pick in 2021 for the Columbus Blue Jackets. So he'll report to the AHL affiliate. His contract officially kicks in next year. At the University of Wisconsin, 33 games, 8 goals, 15 assists, 23 points. So this is an important pickup for Columbus, that he signs with them and that he's going to be playing with them as soon as next year. I remember reporting on him going into the 2021 draft. Interesting prospect. Again, the offense is there too. As long as Werenski's back and healthy, if you've got Kuhlman's in the lineup, and if they add somebody in the offseason, I really think Columbus can improve quickly. This has been just a disastrous season for them. I think that this summer, if they do the right course correcting, they could be back in the hunt next year. I'm not going to say playoffs, but if I had said at this time last year, well, New Jersey will definitely be a playoff team next year, there would be some that would agree with me, but there would have been a lot of people that would have disagreed. So I'll just say that Columbus has to be better next year than this year. So the suspension has come down from player safety, and I got it. It was 2 games. Now, I keep seeing, and of course the reaction is, okay, so Keandre Miller gets 3 for a spitting incident. DeAngelo gets 2 for spearing a guy below the belt. I will say this, Department of Player Safety definitely has guidelines here that we may disagree with, but they're consistent with what we disagree with, for lack of a better way of putting it. I do think what DeAngelo did last night was dangerous. I think that absolutely could have escalated into, if that had happened in the 70s, that fight would still be going on. And so DeAngelo definitely lucks out a little bit that the game really isn't as rough as it was. And, also that Corey Perry wasn't seriously injured on the play. But it's a play that I think should be worth more as a suspension. My guess was 2 games, because when I heard it was a phone interview and not an in-person, I thought, well, it's going to be a shorter one. It'll be 1 or 2 games. And then we can have that debate. But that debate's still out there about what is a fair suspension and what isn't a fair suspension given these circumstances. And I will say that if the NHL came out this summer and said, we're going to reevaluate Department of Player Safety and what warrants a suspension and what doesn't, that'd be great. The full transparency is great as well. We all remember when Brendan Shanahan would stand in front of the monitor and explain, and I think we need that kind of personal touch again, and maybe just some kind of an explanation as to why certain incidents in game are treated more seriously than others, and what the reasoning is behind that, because otherwise we're just left to speculate as fans, and I don't think that does the NHL any good. I don't think it does their PR any good, and I don't think it works. So I just wanted to throw this in the end for any collectors out there. Bridgeport had been wearing a fisherman's jersey, I guess is a third kind of thing, and it is available now on ileslab.com, so ISLESLAB.com, or Ileslab, I guess. But either way, Ileslab or Ileslab has Bridgeport fisherman jerseys available. And I mention that too because Bridgeport is the one team in the AHL that I don't have a jersey for. So I put in an order because it's a nice fisherman jersey, and then I have every AHL team. I have at least 1 jersey for each one. And that'll just be as a reminder of I need to do more AHL videos. And I absolutely do. Especially once we get around to playoff time, I should be doing more AHL videos. And so the Isles jersey is, for instance, a good reasoning behind it. Maybe I should get on that. And I apologize to people who've patiently waited for more AHL content that hasn't been there. But yeah, I'll find the time, I'll get her done. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always, especially regarding the suspension, how you feel about that. And again, I'm right there with you on the idea that it just seems odd as to what qualifies for a longer suspension and what doesn't. And this goes back to wild 2-handed swings at a guy's head with a high stick that became a 1-game suspension. Yeah, there's definitely some that are head scratchers here. But let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.